Hello Earth friends, and I'm wishing you a very good day. Today I would like to explain to you about us as Yahyel and our sleeping patterns, and this is something also very interesting that I would like to share because you, as a comparison with you, because you kind of like identify your day cycles and time through sleep as well. So basically, usually, most of the people sleep at night, and that is kind of like your reset of the day, and then you think about as a new day. So for example, we don't recognize it this way that it's a new day after we sleep. We are experiencing time, or the way they experience time and moments is that we don't really see it as a, like some kind of new beginning. We have it like a continuous flow of energy, flow of time, and so we don't really recognize it that way as you do. And so that is also because we also view our sleep or resting time in a little bit different way as well. We have different type of relationship with it, and it's also because of a quality and also usage and so on. So in the terms of your days, I will translate it into your days. We don't need to sleep as often as you do. That means like within 24 hours to have one sleeping cycle. We can go without sleep for several days, and usually it's average between 3 and 7 days of your time, and usually it's about, as I said, average is somewhere in between. It's 5 days. So yes, it's like with you that sometimes you feel like going back to or to have a rest time sooner than usually, and sometimes later, and sometimes you need to even push through a little bit more and to sleep later. So we can do that as well. We may choose like when we are going to sleep, but in average or ideal time is after 5 days of your time. And so we, for example, may choose to go to sleep later after, for example, 7 days, and it may be is because we need to do some other stuff we need to focus on or we want to focus on. And for example, the time, it's similar as with you, that the time that we spend awake without resting, it influencing also the time that we need to spend on sleep, in sleep state, to readjust ourselves, to recharge more, and so on. So duration of our sleep is somewhere between 30 minutes and 2 hours. Again, I'm translating it into your time, and it also averages or moves between these durations depending on, again, like as I said, how long we didn't sleep, but as well like how, let's say, exhausted we are. But we don't get exhausted like as you do. For example, if we get into the state like for example those 7 days that we usually like give there like a maximum that we don't sleep, that is still like our exhaustion or feeling of exhaustion is not as profound as you have. So for example, for us, that feeling of really being kind of like tired, we feel it very mildly, that we recognize that, okay, like this is a really a time that we would like to go to sleep. And it's also because we honor as well our bodies. Like when we slightly start to feel like, okay, our bodies are not working as we would prefer to, then we go to sleep and we don't push it way too further, like many humans unfortunately do, and it's not for the best benefit of you. And so for example, if we would go without sleep for about those 7 days, we can sleep up to 2 hours over time. And sometimes, of course, like we could even sleep 2 hours if we would go without sleep for 5 days. But it also depends on the time in between, like how we spend that time, because of course, like you, we can get let's say more exhausted, as I was trying to explain to you, exhausted because of a certain activities that we do, then we can get more tired sooner. Let's say if we really need to focus too much on something important, then we may need to sleep sooner and longer. But we usually sleep about around those 30 minutes if we don't sleep for 3 days, for example, and that is what we usually choose, so we don't really have to go into like a longer sleep. And so this is one, again, like a viewpoint on our sleep. And another thing is also that I would like to share with you is like our quality of life through the days that we don't sleep. And also this is something that I would like to share because this is something that could also influence how you also feel exhausted or less exhausted, or how fast you exhaust yourself. The reason why we are also able to go through longer without sleeping is because of our let's say Zen mode. We are more in a Zen mode, that we let through all the, let's say, situations, feelings, and so on in every moment, more that we don't like for example, when you have those negative beliefs and stuff like that, when you get maybe frustrated or nervous in stress and stuff like that, that is negative stress, then this is also what is causing you to kind of like close yourself, and so the energy cannot flow through you properly and kind of like also sustain you for longer. So we live in a lighter state of being, let's say, or let's put it that way, and that is also one reason why we also go without sleep a longer time. And so now about, for example, quality of our sleep. Is also something interesting, that we don't really need to go that deep into sleep like you do, because let's say the level of consciousness that we need to reach for, or to allow our body to really recharge and reset, is very close to our normal, as I explained, Zen modes that we have during the day. So we really, of course, like we relax our body, we lay down, we get into a comfortable position, and of course in a safe place. Then we can very quickly and easily shift our consciousness into different wavelengths. And our sleep is usually quite light as well, in terms that we don't kind of like lose our consciousness. Then we really are all the time kind of like conscious, and we can travel, do something like you project our consciousness like astral projection somewhere and so on, and experience some other things. Or we can also choose to just relax and experience our body sleeping and not really leave anywhere, and we, for example, can see just the light, but we are still in a different mode, that we still are resting, we are still kind of like not completely aware of what is going on around us, of course, because that is also part of the sleep for us as well, that we kind of like disconnect from surroundings, but we are basically still conscious, but conscious of something else, let's say. So this is another, again, part of sleep, that is quality of it. And also, like, another question that you could be asking is, like, if we sometimes can experience like losing consciousness, like you do, for example, when you go to sleep, most of the time you go into some unconscious state, and forgetting, even what you were doing when you were sleeping, or forgetting your dreams and so on. If we can have this kind of experience. And yes, we can. And it's for example, when we want to experience something deeper, let's say we go into deeper and deeper meditation, but this is not what we consider to be our sleep. And this is more like a, let's say, conscious choice, and out of let's say our routine with the sleeping and resting time. This is again something different, and it's different, like for example, when you choose to meditate in order to, let's say, discover something new. And so we invite those kind of experiences as well. And although our consciousness is on a different vibrational level as your consciousness, and we are more timeless, that we can perceive much more than you or experience it in a different way, it still doesn't mean that we don't have a capacity to learn and to explore something that our consciousness cannot observe, or understand. So of course we want to develop in certain ways as well. And so we can explore it through deeper meditations, going into exploring with our consciousness into areas that we don't fully understand yet. And sometimes it can happen the same as to you, and from the same reasons as well, that for example we cannot completely also can comprehend like what we kind of like experience there, like our consciousness cannot fully understand it, then we can of course as well can kind of like forget what we experienced there, or but still it's going to be integrated in some way into our consciousness. So it's more about like really exploring or expanding our consciousness into a very less kind of like understandable, or larger, further to the source energies of like a consciousness that we experience something like this. So that's all for today that I would like to share with you about how we experience sleep and our consciousness a little bit from this point of view. I hope it's enlightened you in some way, and you enjoyed knowing us more, and I will looking forward to introduce us again in some other channelings as well. So bye bye, and see you next time.